What's going on, you guys? Appreciate y'all for coming through, man. Right now, I'm alone. As you could see, there's no one here. I got someone coming in here in a little bit. So, I figured I'd go ahead and do this by myself until that individual shows up. So, first thing I want to talk about is Zelda. Because I feel like that's the only thing that really doesn't appeal to anything going on here. Hold up. Am I having issues with the stream? Doesn't look like it. This is the audio current bitrate is lower than record. Okay, if you guys have issues in the stream, just tell me. Hold on, let me fix something real quick. My throat's doing a little bit better. It's still a little sore. All right. So let me fix that a little bit. So is something wrong with the audio? Chat, you gotta inform me, man. You gotta inform me. Nah, I'm good. All right. So let's talk about Skyward Sword. All right. So those of you that know, me and King argue about this game constantly. We argue about it all the time, every time it comes up. So I played it again, and I forgot a lot about it this game. But I liked the temples. After replaying the game after so many years, I could see, especially after Breath of the Wild. You guys know how I felt about Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild was a good game. It just wasn't a good Zelda game, if that makes sense to you guys. And I think that was the biggest thing to me. It was, look, we got this game called Breath of the Wild. And to be honest with you, Breath of the Wild didn't feel like a Zelda game. It felt like, I'm a little bit low. All right. So maybe that will fix things a little bit. We about to upgrade those. We have to upgrade these mics too, you guys. We about to take it to the next level. 1 second. All right. So I do enjoy Skyward Sword from that aspect that it's more like an actual Zelda game than Breath of the Wild. But we gotta talk about it. This combat might be some of the worst combat I've played in video game history. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. Like, I really mean that. Video game history. It is so bad. Whoever decided to make this, I don't know what you were thinking. I don't know why you did what you did. It's just like, come on, man. Like, we don't need this motion stuff at all. Like, this motion stuff is horrible. And I feel like, to me, they completely missed that. Skyward Sword, I'm enjoying the world, kinda, where they open up spots throughout the map. But as far as that, that's all I can really think of. Now, it's like I said, it's not a bad game. But it just is one of those things where it's like the combat is so bad that I'm just like, maybe it's time to find something else. And I'm curious to hear your guys' thought on it too, to be honest with you. Because I know some of you play Zelda, some of you don't. Some of you only really play, some of you, very diverse group of people, man. Very diverse group of people. And I'm curious, is that something that, when it comes to Zelda, is that something that, when in terms of the 3Ds, like, which ones were your favorite? The Legend of Zelda. Which was your favorite? If I misspell stuff, I don't care. Ocarina of Time. Oh my god. Majora's Mask. We'll put Skyward Sword. And Breath of the Wild. So I'm going to ask that community that real quick, get a little bit of feedback from you guys, man. Find out exactly what's going on with that. Yeah, I'm still a little bit sore, just a little bit, but I'm able to talk, and that's all that matters. I'm able to talk. Now, keep in mind, for the people in the chat, you don't have to put Skyward Sword. You don't. You could easily put something else. You don't have to put Skyward Sword. Wind Waker, I wish I could have fit that on there. I like Twilight Princess. There's just so many good ones. It's just we couldn't really go into all of them because they only give us 4 slots. Can't really do stuff when they only give us 4 slots. So we have to go with what we have, man. We have to go with what we have. So, man, Majora's Mask is underrated. Hate Nintendo, so none. Gotta drink that tea with lemon, honey, my guy. What does that mean? Gotta drink that tea with lemon. I'm confused on that one, man. They had to feed into the gimmick for the console. Yeah, I think that's the main culprit here. Is they had to feed into the gimmick and they had to make sure that it used what they promoted it as, and I think the combat suffered greatly because of it. Has all the best gaming moments. Majora's Mask, I don't know about that, man. I don't know if Majora's Mask has all the best gaming moments. Breath of the Wild is the worst Zelda game. It's not bad, but I have a hard time connecting with it. That's what I'm saying. Like, what makes Zelda Zelda to me is absent in Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is a good game. No one's going to take that away from it. But to me, it just doesn't look like a Zelda game. It doesn't feel like a Zelda game. Why didn't you type about... Why didn't you like it? Oh, that's what I was saying, Christopher. I'm not saying that it was bad. Oh, you put the crest in the chat, man. I don't have the... unfortunately... I don't have access, and I don't know if I can even switch. It might cut the podcast. I need to bring the emotes to this one. I do need to do that. Nah, I'm not even risking it, man. We ain't shutting this down because I don't know how OBS works. And it's like I said, that is my only real gripe when it comes to this, when it comes to it, is I just feel like they wanted to innovate so much when it comes to Zelda, make it so big, make you could climb anything, but they completely forgot what made Zelda Zelda. Like, to me, temples is one of the biggest things to Zelda. It's one of the things that's always made what Zelda is. And to me, they failed that. They cared too much more about how Zelda how Zelda you could climb every mountain, and I felt like the world in Breath of the Wild wasn't really that big either. I felt like they could have definitely improved on that as well. The Lord's emotes are here, Lord. No, you guys have them. I don't. You know how like Cognito will be able to put the actual emotes that you guys put in the chat up on the screen? I don't have access to those in the one that I'm in. Like, so how it goes is OBS. You could switch profiles. I made a profile for Addict World, and there's a profile for the Iron Lords podcast. That's why the outlayer of mine is different. And I do, let a little bit of time go by. We are going to be improving a little bit in terms of the Addict World and how exactly it looks and presents. Like, I do have my own thought process to how I want the Addicts World to look. So, I want to keep that in mind. All right, so my guest should be coming here any minute. Probably here in the next 10 minutes. Let me go ahead and share this on Twitter real quick. And if you guys want to, you can always share it on Twitter. That'd be nice. Get some sharing on Twitter going on. Oh. All right, there we go. Now let me go to the Iron Lords podcast. Let me share this too. Now, one of the reasons I'm doing this, I mean, I could have easily got a third person and just had him in here first. But I do want to get a little bit more comfortable talking by myself and just, bouncing off the chat. Because I feel like that is a really unique skill to be able to use. So I feel like, I need to start working on that a little bit. So it looks like right now, Ocarina of Time is winning by a lot. And that's the stuff that I be saying. Like, I do feel like Breath of the Wild gets all this hype because people don't remember what Zelda was when these other ones... Is my mic low? Like, I don't know, man. Like, hold up. I will turn it up all the way. But if it's too loud, it's not my fault, man. If it's too loud, it's not my fault. I cannot help if this mic is loud now. You guys have spoke about it being too low. I maxed that to the max, man. We got a $10 super chat from Lady Sand. Dropping some support your way, Addict. I appreciate all the support, you guys. I definitely appreciate it. My mic is kind of low. Like... How's that better? Is that better? Let me look at my volumes, man. I feel like I'm going to make this too loud. Like, I feel like I'm going to make this too loud. All right, so I probably just made it too loud. I'm going to be real with you. I probably just made it too loud. You guys probably just messed me up, man. Because there's a little bit of delay between the stream and here, and I literally just raised it. So it's probably going to be loud now. We felt abandoned without you on Sunday. Look, man, I was not feeling well. My voice is still kind of messed up. And maybe it's like I need to stop. I don't know. Like, sometimes I get a little bit too much into the podcasting scene. And I'll talk too loud or something, or I'll be too aggressive. Which, I get a lot of feedback that I'm too aggressive. And it's not something that, like, I can't turn it off. Like, I try. I can't turn it off. It's just, like, even if I tone it down, I end up going right back at it. Like, it's not something that I could just turn off. But, I need to be a little bit more laid back in terms of the podcast. That way, my voice doesn't get destroyed. Because I feel like I've been in too much stuff, whether it's Discord or the podcast or Addict Show or streaming or making my own videos, that my voice just is constantly being worked on over and over again. Quit yelling at people and you be good. Look, Dallas, that's just how it is, man. That's just how it is. that is my style, and that's for the most part. What's up the abandoned? We could talk about that real quick. Hold up. And it's not that that's being me, because it is being me, but I do feel like I could improve that. Like, I don't feel like I have to be that aggressive all the time. And I get so into the podcast. We got a $5 super chat from Gerald Mack, just showing support for the IOP. All hell the IOP. Shout out to the Lords. I definitely appreciate the super chat. Hold up. We about to talk about this abandoned stuff, man, because it's interesting. Is abandoned out what? Okay, hold up. So there's that one. So I'm curious on your guys. Do you really think that this game Abandoned is being made by Kojima? And if you see, I said that, man, because I don't know how to spell Kojima. I'm not even attempting it. I'm not butchering his name. So, yes, no. I think, I don't know, part of me feels like they would be stupid for it not to be working with Kojima at this point. They've been so vocal about talking with Kojima and so vocal about hinting Kojima, maybe not talking with Kojima, but hinting with Kojima, that I'm just like, if they're not working with them and if he's not part of this project, it's going to be really bad. Like, I don't think the game's going to survive. There was supposed to be something that popped up on hold up. All right, so let's go over it, man. Let's go over it. Here, Abandoned, $2 super chat from Flame. Abandoned is a con artist. Don't even at me, man. People going at Flame in that chat. Adam, we're gonna have to pull up on Flame. Adam, at Flame in that chat. You don't even have to say nothing. Just at Flame in that chat, man. At Flame. Okay, so let's go over this a little bit. Let's see what the community thinks. Let's click latest. Abandon. Oh, hold up. Let me fix this. There we go. All right, so let's come at me. It's all jokes, man. It's all jokes. We ain't trying to attack Flame. It's all jokes. So let's go over some of these that's going on with the Kojima game named Abandon. All right. So obviously I've searched Abandon PS5. So, questions. Let's translate the tweet. The question, Abandon generally went from being intriguing to being bored to being ridiculous. How interesting this reveal is not yet abandoned. And what's funny is we don't even know nothing about this game yet. We don't know anything about this game. And the fact that it's got this much, what's the word I'm looking for? This much attention, I feel like it's bad in itself. Because as of right now, where we don't know nothing about this game, if it does turn out that he is working with the company, it's definitely going to help it. A lot of people say this is Silent Hill. I do know that the people who make, what is that company called? The people who made Medium. I don't know what that company's called, but I'm pretty sure they're working on Silent Hill. Now, there could be multiple companies working on Silent Hill, because I know that they're really big on licensing their stuff right now. But to me, I just don't know if they're actually working. Now, let me make sure that Homeboy isn't showing up. No, he hasn't showed up yet. All right. $2 super chat for Flame. Knight might make a video about this. It's a con. Definitely understand that, man. I encourage everyone, try to get into the content creator stream a little bit. Like, you don't have to take it seriously. Sometimes I let this content creator thing get to me a little bit with, not necessarily like the viewership on my personal channel or the growth on ILP, because everyone wants to have some growth. And sometimes I let that get to me too much, and I try not to, but it's really hard to not let that get to you. The blooper team, I appreciate you guys, man. You guys always looking out for me. The blooper team, I'm pretty sure they're working on Silent Hill, but it might not be that. It might be multiple teams working on Silent Hill. But the thing is like, no one knows this studio. Like, I don't think anyone knows what this studio is. So, like, how would they get their hands on it? Like, are they going to pay for that? I don't know. We'll have to see, man. We'll have to see. It's interesting. It's interesting. But, I mean, look at these people talking on here. Like, the trailer got delayed because Kojima is still working on it. Laugh Out Loud abandoned. Like, they're literally the laughingstock right now. They're the laughingstock of the internet right now. Like, to me, if they're not working with Kojima, is this all this even worth it? That's what I'm like. Is any of this even worth it if they are working with Kojima? If they're not working with Kojima, because if they're not working with Kojima, they can literally they could stop the bleeding now. They don't have to go to this extra stuff anymore. And I think that's like the biggest thing here, man. It's like, is working with Kojima, not working with Kojima, worth all of this PR? Where if they aren't working with Kojima at the end of the day, they're going to get destroyed. And I think that's my biggest question. Is that worth this much PR if they're not working with Kojima? And to me, if they're not working with Kojima, they wouldn't let it get this big. They would have shut this down a long time ago. Silent Hill blooper team might be a Xbox timed exclusive. You might be right. Because they do normally work with them people. So it is interesting, you know. So let's get back to the... So, is the abandoned app malware? Should I delete it from my PS5? I didn't know it was a PS5 app. I thought it was a phone app. Might have to look at that. I didn't know it was a PS5 app. The trailer got delayed because Kojima's still working on it. See, this is how you know when stuff gets like really, really public. Is when I see other languages talking about it. Because gaming is everywhere. But for my particular side of Twitter, I don't see it too much. So it's kind of interesting, man. I'm really interested to see exactly where this turns out from. Now, you know, I don't think Kojima's really commented on this, like, at all. So it's going to be interesting to see what he has to say as well. Yeah, see, I mean, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. All right, so let's go ahead. My guest should be getting here any minute now. He said 5:30. Now, let's talk about a little bit about the Xbox giving away more upgrades or Xbox at Gamescom. Because my guest is Everborn. So I'm curious what you guys want me to talk about when he gets here. Like, which topic? Which topic do you guys want to speak of, man? The Xbox at Gamescom first, or do you want to speak about the Hellblade upgrades and how good Xbox has been doing with that particular line of sight? I'm kind of curious to get your guys' opinion on that. And, you know, one thing I do want to ask you guys is, what exactly kind of guests do you guys want on the Attic Show? What kind of guests do you guys want on the Attic Show? You guys can definitely keep me updated, man. What kind of guests do you guys want on here? Gotta know. Gotta know. So, I mean, Gamescom. I mean, we could talk about Gamescom first. I don't mind talking about Gamescom first. So, Gamescom, you know, we'll go ahead and get into it while we wait for Homeboy. Sorry, man. Someone beat you to it, man. Someone beat you to it. Gamescom. Xbox and Gamescom. Trying to get that article. I think this is it. Yeah, this is it. This is the article. Optimist. Do you guys really want to see Optimist code on here? Optimist is my dude, but I know a lot of you like don't necessarily like, you know, kind of like the back and forth stuff. You guys just like, just pretty much like talking about Xbox. And I know if I bring Optimus on here, there's going to be a lot of back and forth because of, you know, some of his opinions. And I'll, you know, if that's the type of entertainment that you guys want periodically, I wouldn't do that every week, but I would do that just to get people's mindset. Keep in mind, some of these people, they troll on Twitter. That's not who they really are. Like, Optimus does, if he came on my show, he wouldn't be trolling like he does on Twitter. He does that just to pass the time, man. He's not really like that kind of person, but you know, we'll see what comes about it, man. We'll see what comes about it. Well, I promise if I ever did bring Optimus on this show, it wouldn't be what you guys think. I kind of like pick his brain on how he got this kind of thought process out. Some of the stuff he'd be saying. That's how I would probably do it. I wonder if he's in the chat. No, he's not in the chat. But so let's talk about literally Optimus is a troll. He is a troll. And he really does do a little bit too much on Twitter. But he's not a bad dude, you guys. Like, he's not a bad dude. He's just, hey, bro, I invite myself. Get me on, bro. I would bring you on, Don. Gino Potali. I don't know how to pronounce your name. You have to forgive myself. Is that something that you guys would be up to? Like, occasionally, what I would do is have like an open Discord where, you know, there would be a waiting room for you guys and I could just drag you in here and we could talk. Would that be something you guys would be open for? I don't know how many people in this chat would feel like they want to talk. Like, people don't realize that's why you see like a lot of guests when they go onto a show. That's why you see a lot of them generally don't talk a lot when they go onto a podcast. Because it's different being in the chat than it is talking in the actual podcast. So that's why I'm like curious to hear you guys' opinion on if that's something that you would even really want to see. Did you watch the Idea Twitter show? No, I didn't. Was there anything good? Oh my god, you guys are ridiculous. If you bring Optimus code on the show, I'd have to get it approved through the retirement home he's staying at. Oh my god, you guys be coming at it with those old jokes, don't you? I don't really have to much to say myself. That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe on your own channel, but on the Iron Lords, yeah, you probably got a point there, Daniel. That's why I say if I ever did it on, it would be on this show, but I would just be letting anyone in here. Like, you would be vetted before you just got into the actual room that I'm in. I wouldn't just let you in here. You need Joe Biden as a guest. Look, man, if I could get the president of the United States on the podcast, I don't even know what I would talk to Joe Biden about, but I think it would definitely be like an interesting conversation. Like, what would I ever talk about this man? Like, am I just gonna, you know, talk about the pandemic, how it's affecting the gaming industry? Like, that would be a funny conversation. Always. I'm under the Iron Lords podcast name right now, so if you're like trying to tag me, I'm under this account. You have to tag that account. It's best to vet people first. Yeah, I would never just let someone in here. You'd get vetted. I would probably have someone in the actual room talking to people, and then they would drag them if they seem cool. I'm all about interesting guests. I do enjoy when they're tied to the topic. Tell him to speed up the chips. What you talking about, man? You talking about the guest? Like, I actually have to see if he's not waiting to come in. No, he's still not waiting. Okay. See, I can't see the actual. I can't see the screen. That I need to look about the setting to just let people join. Ask him, does he game? He games. He games. I can tell you guys right now that Optimist Code games. Any female game podcaster? I do know a couple. I knew Erica. I know a couple of streamers. But, besides Erica, because the streamers, they just play, like, their set of games. I don't think they really keep up with the industry like I would expect the majority of this chat to. So I don't think that they would be a good fit for podcasting because they wouldn't know what a lot of the stuff we're talking about is. But I'm sure there's a lot of female, gamers in our community. The Ashton Luca podcast. Ashton Luca, I definitely, she knows what's going on. She knows what's up. She knows exactly what's up, man. Man, I don't know why YouTube be messing up sometimes. Like, sometimes it'd be crashing and then coming up. Ashton Luca. I could get Ashton Luca on here. That wouldn't be too complicated. Me and Ashton Luca are cool. Talking about Joe Biden. I don't know why people are talking about Joe Biden, man. That was a joke, man. It was a joke. You guys are being too much, man. You guys are being too much. Let me check on my guest. I think next time that, the guest I have is delayed, might just delay the podcast in general. I don't know. Like I said, I'm trying to get better at just talking to a screen because sometimes it's hard for me to not bounce off of people when I talk. I can do this, but I do feel like I can improve in it drastically. But I need to improve on it. When Phil showing up on the Iron Lords. Look, I will tell you guys that we do have a guest list. Phil Spencer's currently not on that guest list, but we're trying, man. We're trying. If you guys want Phil Spencer on the podcast, man, go on Twitter, tag Phil Spencer, and say, Phil Spencer, I would love for you to be on the Iron Lords podcast. Tag the Iron Lords podcast. Because if you show interest and you show people the people want where he needs to be, it might get Microsoft reaching out to us. You don't know how it goes like that, man. That might end up happening. Microsoft reaches out to us and they're like, yo, we would really like to come on the show because people keep tagging us in this show and we got to get this popping. And I think that would be interesting. But it's like I said, I don't know. Dude's a busy man. He's a busy man. He might not have enough time to come on the Iron Lords podcast right now. But, maybe we'll have him on in the next year because we are, we do have a better relationship with Microsoft than we did probably this time last year. So there is a chance that he might come on in the future. Phil Spencer hears Xbox podcasts. It helps to someone fill in the gaps and go back and forth with. It does. And I think people don't understand that. When you have someone that you can bounce off of, it's a lot easier to talk to people. But that's why I'm trying to get better because I'm interested in streaming. So I'm trying to get better on just, talking with my community by myself without necessarily another person around either. I think that's the main reason for this, man. Flame, I can guess for a little if you want. You know what, Flame? Are you in our Discord, Flame? Are you in our Discord? Are you in our Discord? Because Flame is a member. I trust Flame. If Flame wants to come through and bounce back and forth Why wait for my guest? Let me make sure my guest is actually not here. He's not. You know, we'll do that. We'll do that. That's fine, man. We'll do that. I need Twitter first. What do you mean you need Twitter first? Oh, you need to make a Twitter first. I get you, man. I get you. All right, so what I've done. You're a writer. Go ahead and join the ad. Join join the one of the public. Okay, join one of the public discords, and tell me when you're there, and I will drag you into the addicts world. On Fire, Lost Forever, and you know we'll talk about one of these topics while we wait for homeboy to show up. He should be coming up here any minute. He's got a meeting, man. He's got a job. You know, he's got to feed the families. On Fire. Some of your guys' names has always been crazy to me. A dog with a saxophone. That's funny. Silk Slayer. I've always liked Silk Slayer. It's always been interesting. So we are climbing close to getting the monetization. Not the monetization. The little man. I know you guys really like the emotes. So we are coming close on that. Let me double check where we're at right now. Yeah, because you guys have been really good to us. You know, we're only like 3 members away from. What's up, Meds? Meds, if you want, man, you could pull up too. It's cool. I'm waiting for people, man. I'm waiting for people. You could pull up too, Meds. Evening from the UK. The UK. I'm interested to find out where the people that follow the show are from. So put in the chat where you're listening to this from. I want to see the origination of some of the individual people that follow the podcast. Podcast in general, even. And keep in mind, Flame, when you're ready, put it in the actual chat because I'm not paying attention to Discord currently. So put it in the actual chat. Put it in the actual chat. It's going to be interesting to see what happens at Gamescom. So we got a New Jersey. We got a Canada. We got a Texas, Cali, East Coast, New Jersey, Texas, India, Florida, UK, Wisconsin, Italy. I probably just butchered that. My B, man. Probably just butchered that. The Philippines, New York City. We got Meds, homeboys. He moved to New Jersey, Germany, Northern Ireland, UK. The NA in the Miami. I don't know where NA is. I don't know geography like that. I should probably learn. Cali in the US. I've been to California a couple times. It's a nice little place. Oregon, South Carolina, Florida, Massachusetts. I got a friend actually lives up in Massachusetts. The UK has listened to IOP when in but have listened to IOP when was in Turkey and Georgia. Virginia in the building. I live in Virginia, Jason B. That's what's up. New York City, but I live in Pennsylvania now. I see people are leaving New York City by like the truckloads. Is like the New York City just a bad place to live these days? Maybe it's like the high rent they have, because I know their rent's like ridiculous. Damn, bro, for us from Jersey. There's a lot of you from Jersey, man. There's a lot of you from Jersey. The Caribbeans, Washington, California. Jersey represents, man. Like, there's too many of you from Jersey, man. There's too many of you from Jersey. Too many. I left in 2005. The cost, yeah, I've been told the cost is pretty bad there. Attic, would you classify yourself as a? See, I don't want to answer that because I don't exactly know what you mean by that. So I'm a Google that. See, it's only thing popping up is dogs. So I feel like that's a question made to make me look bad. And I feel like you might be a troll, but I don't know. Oh, you pinged me? I don't know what a ping is. Just join any of the discords that's in the Iron Lord that's in the actual stream, like that's in the actual Discord. Just join any of those. Just join any of those, and I will drag you in. Atlantic City. I'm. Oh. So he should. My guest should be here now. What's up, Everborn?
What's happening?
Nothing much. I was just talking to the folks while we was waiting for you.
Oh man, I feel special.
You're fine, man. So they want to talk about Xbox at Gamescom first, but since you're here, I think the best point of action, because I've already talked about the Skyward Sword. I don't know if you have too much to talk about Skyward Sword, do you?
You know, I never played it because it first came out on Wii U, right?
The Wii.
That is the only Nintendo console that I did not own after the Super Nintendo, because I never had a regular NES, and I'll never forget that. I felt like I was tortured as a child for not having that, but that's neither here nor there.
That's what's up. Flame, do you have a Twitter? I'm gonna get you in here too, if you have a Twitter. But yeah. So first thing, I think he does have a Twitter. I don't know. I looked it up. Sometimes it's hard to find people that's YouTube on Twitter because like their handles are different than their names.
See, this is what I'm saying, man. Kay Asante, I had to shame him into updating all of his handles everywhere. It's all about branding, man. You got to keep it consistent across the board. I keep Everborn Saga on everything.
Okay.
It's like hot sauce.
It's like hot sauce?
Yeah. Put that on everything.
Yeah, sometimes that's a little hard though.
No, man, just change it. I started up.
I think what it is like some of them are hard to actually like that name to be open. Because like on Xbox, I'm Lord Addict with a bunch of numbers. And I don't like that. But there ain't nothing I could do about that. Like, hold up. Like, the numbers are like 4268 or something like that. Jesus. It's the craziest stuff I've ever seen. But when they said that you can change your name and you'll have that number thing, to my knowledge, they made it seem like those numbers would only appear certain times. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then when I actually like looked into it, they were everywhere.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Complete change of subject. However, what is going on with Abandon?
What's going on, Joe? It's Flame from the chat, man. It's Flame from the chat.
Flame, what's happening?
Nice to meet you, Everborn.
So what did you say in Everborn?
Abandoned. What is this shit show that's happening?
Oh yeah, we was actually just talking about that. So right now, Everborn, tell me.
Yes, sir.
Gun to your head, is Everborn being worked on by Kojima?
No comment. Did I do it right?
Yeah, I don't think it is.
I'm gonna write an article real quick at it. Give me a second. Everborn confirms Kojima.
so what's going on, Flame? So what's your opinions on the whole Abandon issue?
Well, there's been a lot of videos that have been surfacing of people that have been using the Wayback Machine on the internet to more or less look at Blue Box's website and what they've been doing prior to Abandon and its announcements. And look, I wish for the best for this developer. I really do. But at the same time, there's a long history of him just releasing like very broken Unreal Engine builds and putting them out onto Steam to die, more or less. I don't think that's going to happen to Abandon because he actually has to look good to PlayStation on this, you know, in this situation. But I have no faith in that. And
So,
it's definitely not Silent Hill. And I'm tired of hearing that it's Silent Hill.
No. It's Metal Gear now. You didn't see the
Yeah,
last one with the blurry
my
paths?
bad. I'm sorry. He switched projects on the fly. My bad.
apparently, people think he's working on Metal Gear with Bluepoint. Then they think he's working on Silent Hill with the Abandoned developers. Then they think he's working on the actual game he's working on, that got canceled with Stadia. So I'm just like, you guys, just admit that you're wrong. That's all you have to do. Just admit that you're wrong.
They can't. But furthermore, I really think this is just what happens because of sort of Sony's marketing style of silence, right? They really don't say anything until they have something concrete to announce, and they let their fans kind of, run
Let's
with
be
these things,
real.
which is
Let's
fine.
be real. They let them go wild. Like,
Yes, yes, they do. And I noticed there was a lot of smoke for a free update yesterday, and those same people with all that smoke, no smoke for this. But maybe
none
they're busy.
whatsoever.
Maybe they're at
whatsoever.
work today.
Like here's my thing, and I've said it multiple times. I will be on Microsoft to make better games. I'll be on Sony to make better features, but I don't expect one to not do it because the other one's doing it better. I'm like, I want them both to improve both of the features. I want everyone to improve everything. Like PlayStation, just think about it. They literally just announced that you have to pay $10 to activate PS5 features a couple weeks ago to a month ago.
That's crazy.
And then like a week later after that, or 2 weeks later after that, they announced that they're having a beta for hardware. If this was flipped around, IGN would have 10 articles about it. GameSpot would have 10 articles about it. Every podcast would be talking about it every week. But because it's Sony, let's briefly talk about it. Let's have a passing topic. Let's have like a drive-by topic where like, yeah, that's bull, then just walk right out the door. And I feel like sometimes, man, Microsoft, they're in such a uphill battle that there's nothing they can do.
Well, I think honestly, what I think it comes down to is, I think we don't get to have the adult conversations about things until Sony does a thing, right? A lot of the times you'll see Microsoft do a thing and it's a 5-alarm fire. This is the end of days. You know what I mean? This is it. It's over. It's bad for the industry. But if there's a delay on the Sony side, they say, well, delays are good, right? If there is something like this beta SSD thing, they say, well, it's not that bad, and you have to think about it this way and that way, right? And so we get very logical when it comes on to those things, but the same logic is not applied in the other direction, right? And I just wish we could have adult conversations no matter what side of we fall on with these things, right? Like I think we should be able to debate in good faith instead of my platform good, your platform bad.
I think the biggest issue that we have is, like you said, like fanboys don't want to admit the other one's wrong. Like for instance, do you know how much this chat, and I'm talking to you people in the chat, I don't know which ones of you, but how many people attacked me because all I said is I wanted more from Starfield. That's all I said. Oh my God. You would think that I said the whole show was trash, that nothing they showed was good. I literally said I understand why they did it. I was just disappointed. And Oh my God. I was having people message me on Twitter saying that I'm wrong. I was having people adding me on Twitter saying that I was wrong. But then the same people was like, Attic, you right about the PS5 unlock features. You should be talking about this. And I'm like, look, man, you will never see me hold my tongue for something that I want from something. Like, sure, some of you have this concept that, we should have to talk about everything that's anti-consumer or quote unquote, depending on what you feel is anti-consumer. And then it's not how it works. I'm only going to talk about stuff that I'm passionate about. I don't care about the rest. Like, for instance, Killer Instinct looks like they're looking, but it's not out there. I don't care about Killer Instinct. You're not going to see me do 10-minute, 15-minute videos. I can sympathize with, the K-Megas that want that game, but me personally, I couldn't care less. So let's go to Joe real quick. Joe, first off, let's
Yes, sir.
round this back a little bit.
All right.
Let's talk about Hellblade getting its new update. So, and first off, Everborn. Didn't you love how the PlayStation people didn't get that? Because
Yo, let me oh my God, Joe, I
It's
apologize.
so
Please,
anti-consumer. It's so anti-consumer.
let me tell you something.
Awful. It's the worst thing ever.
I was in some of these Twitter spaces where they were having cry sessions about this.
oh yeah,
This
I was told about these. I was told about these.
This is the whole, like, they got together because they didn't get it. That's what it's about. And you know how I know that? And this is not hyperbole. This is nothing. There was none of this smoke for what's it called? A Plague's Tale. You know why? Because both of them got it. As soon as they didn't get some, just like with Psychonauts 2, that's when it's trash now, because they didn't get it, right? And at the end of the day, I think you see all of this, right? It's because, okay, Returnal came out, not for me, but a lot of people liked it. Like 560,000 people liked it. And then Ratchet came out. But I think the same way a lot of Xbox guys have to live by that power sword and die by that power sword. The people who were talking about that, I wasn't one of those people. I think the PlayStation guys have to live and die by that AAA exclusive sword, because there's nothing coming out for the rest of the year. And they got nothing to talk about, and they're watching all of these games. They're watching Death's Door. They're watching The Ascent. They're watching these things that they're not getting. And they told you for, I don't know how, since the beginning of the generation, before that, but I'm concerned with this generation, that you have no games. And now, by their logic, because you kept trying to talk sense into them, there's a lot of things to play. There's a lot of things to do. It's not all about that, the kind of game that Sony makes. And now they have no games to play by their standards. And so now they're crying.
So,
and the tears are delicious. But go ahead.
So Joe, was the tears delicious to you? Was you gone blowing them up? How did you feel when you heard that?
Well,
how did you feel when Hellblade was announced? It was getting an update. Keep in mind, chat, I've never played Hellblade. I've tried a couple times. It kind of messes with me mentally a little bit, because of I don't like hearing people talk in my ears like that. Like, it creeps me out. But I think I'm gonna try it because of this update. Now, Joe, what did you feel like when you initially heard the announcement that they were getting this update, and what did you feel like when the actual news that Sony wasn't getting the same treatment? Do you feel like that was like maybe anti-consumer?
Well, I mean, I joked about the whole anti-consumer thing, but at the same time, we do have to look at the fact that, yes, Hellblade did actually launch on PlayStation before Xbox. I can understand that people who bought Senua's Sacrifice on PS4 and now they have a PS5, they would, since they did support Ninja Theory back then, they would like to see that update. I do actually understand that standpoint. The thing that I don't understand.
Where's my Sunset Overdrive update?
Did that happen for PS5? Did he get it?
It did not.
I think what he's saying,
but no one's expecting it.
Yeah, I think what he's saying is, since they own Insomniac, no one's expecting a Sunset Overdrive update on Xbox.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, Sunset Overdrive was never actually put onto the PlayStation though. I think the thought process is that so PlayStation 4 got Senua's Sacrifice first. We supported it, which they did kind of. I don't know exactly how many copies got sold, and I'm not really too concerned on that front. But they supported it. They now have PS5s. They would like to get this update, considering they did kind of support it, but it's only going to be given to the Xbox side because one, I think they're basically testing that build to update it for the Steam and Game Pass PC versions because that's not updated on that side. So it's kind of messy. I kind of understand some of the mentalities, but people looking at the ray tracing and saying, "Oh, it doesn't look that good" or something like that. That's what I'm just like, "Oh, come on, you're just hating for no reason." So I actually love the update. I played a little bit of it yesterday. It was awesome, and yeah, that was kind of all over the place. But that's because there's so much going on with it. But for Everborn's thing, I do understand where Ray's coming from on the Sunset Overdrive side, but we'll cross that bridge whenever I guess Sunset Overdrive gets put onto PlayStation 5 and is updated to have 4K 60 ray tracing and all that kind of stuff. And then it'll be like, okay, yeah, where is it for Xbox? Because that would be
I get what you're saying. You're pretty
Yeah,
much.
I just think no one would expect that though, and that's my issue. No, like that. If
True.
that happened, everyone would be surprised, even the Xbox guys. Like,
yeah, it would be expected, but at the same time, it's just like some people that did support it in the very beginning, they would like to at least feel like they were appreciated back then because with Xbox, you can just download Senua Sacrifice and get that update for free, no charge, no nothing whatsoever. So that's kind of my stance on it.
So pretty much your thought process is like, look, like it should happen, but at the same time, like the reason that the circumstances and situations are different is because one was a multi-plat before the company was bought, and the other one was always an exclusive. So one makes more sense than the other. Okay. So look, here's my opinion. All right. At the end of the day, I've always had this concept, even when it came to what was the last thing this happened to, Psychonauts 2. I was never going to play Psychonauts 2, really, But to me, those people, if you want them to come to your platform, you might as well give them the best project they possibly can have. So that, so when they play Psychonauts 2, they're like, yo, this is great. And they're like, oh, the studio's an Xbox only game studio now. Well, obviously PC. Now I got to buy an Xbox to keep up with this studio. So to me, it feels like, I don't like using this word, but I'm going to use it. Gimping the version over there is going to hurt the thought process and the product over there, because not everyone playing Psychonauts 2 is going to be an Everborn, a Joe, or an Addict, where we know the reasoning behind making that version worse. I don't think it was necessarily Microsoft intentionally wanted to make that version worse. I think Microsoft just got to the point where they're like, why are we going to spend money to make a version the same as our version when we don't need to do that? We are only really obligated to make the PS4 version. We're not obligated to make the PS5 version, and I'm okay with that. But at the same time, I'm like, you could have potentially got more people over there to get an Xbox because they wanted to keep up with, Double Fine. So, but at the end of the day, it's like, you could reverse that, just because not everyone would know that that's the situation that's going on with Double Fine. Not everyone's going to know Double Fine even makes that game. So, and let's be real here. Psychonauts 2 is going to be a fun game to a lot of people, but I don't think it's going to be that game. You know what I'm saying? So I can understand. I can see it from both ways. I got a super chat real quick. We got a $5 super chat from Bay Area. We were just talking about where people are coming. Isn't that a place somewhere, Bay Area? Like, I don't know.
I think there's a lot of bays in.
See, I live in a small town of Virginia. All right, so this is actually directed towards you, Everborn. Everborn, notice nobody cried for Doom Eternal's free update either because both consoles got it.
Yep.
That's exactly what it is. They just didn't get it, so now it has to be terrible. And my thing is, it's really there's a deeper through line to it. I just think when you spent a lot of time trying to defend $10 for next gen lip syncing tech, right? And you talked about devs doing things and being compensated for it, which they should be. But now, when there's a free update that does way more than what you just paid $10 for, you have to die on that hill. So you have to downplay this free update, and that's what it's really tied back to. It is that director's cut $10 asshole tax, as I call it,
I call it
and
the PS5 taxes.
asshole
Turn
tax.
turn on your PS5, play a game, got
You know what's
spend a
funny?
tenner.
When that was announced, you should have I was sitting there, I'm like, low key King was right. They're making you pay for an update. Like,
Who did he say they're gonna put a quarter slot in the PS5?
they're gonna be a card reader, man. You just gotta go over there and you're gonna slide it. You know,
No, but really though, that's really what. If you want to follow the through line of why they were upset about that, they were not really upset about that. It was the $10 that they defended for an update. So they have to downplay this one, and that's really what it is.
yeah, it's like I said, man. Like we need to improve on all areas. You know, and I agree with Everborn. We need the same energy going towards everything. There should be no reason why they're trying to charge $10. Like, if people would have gave the same amount of energy for that Psychonauts and this Hellblade that they gave the for let me reverse that. If people gave the same amount of energy to that PS5 tax like they did to this, then I feel like it would have been different. Maybe that could have fixed, because to me it felt like the majority of the PlayStation community, they was okay with what was going on with that, and I wasn't. I felt like it was a ridiculous tax, and I felt like you should never be charged just to use your own systems, and that's just my opinion. If you're promoting these features, you should not charge your consumers to use these features. But that's just me. Let's move on. Everborn has stepped out for a couple seconds. Let's move on to Xbox at Gamescom. There has been select times where Xbox at Gamescom has been a big thing. Now, they are having a live stream, and I think they had an indie stream today, correct?
Yeah.
Was the indie stream?
It was better than the last one, but it was not good.
Because keep in mind, I just woke up an hour before the podcast. I work 12 to 8. So, I don't know what's going on. I didn't watch it. I'm assuming it wasn't that good because I didn't get 1,000 tags. What's funny is we'll talk about this here in a second, because I do want to talk about this. I made a tweet that said, people always say Sony doesn't have money to buy this, to buy that, but then they spend $1.2 billion on Crunchyroll. So I'm like, look, Sony got money for every industry but the gaming industry, it seems like.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I was kind of hype about the Crunchyroll thing, only because I'm hoping that they will include all the Crunchyroll content in my Funimation subscription.
All right, so let's. The Gamescom is the big thing. Let's take it back a little bit since Everborn's here. Let's talk about this. All right. So they bought Crunchyroll. Keep in mind, they're already on Funimation. I don't know how much they spent on Funimation. Does anyone know off the top of their head?
No idea.
All right. So how much did Sony buy Funimation for? Because that's important. Sony Funimation closes for $1.2 billion. That might be the other one. 1.175 acquisition. Oh, so did they buy them both?
No. They already own Funimation. I think they want to merge them now.
Yeah, so they're going to merge them. Does anyone?
Well, somebody in the chat said, and I agree with them, the Funimation app is garbage. It's terrible.
It is.
But the content, that's what I'm there for.
Yeah. I need to. I don't have Crunchyroll. I have Funimation, and I've been told I chose the wrong force.
Do you like dubs?
Yes.
Well, then Funimation.
Well, see, here it is. Here I am with animes. I gotta watch it whatever I start it with. So like
Okay.
Attack on Titan, I started that with sub, so I have to watch that sub the rest of the time. Dragon Ball Super, I have to watch that dub because Goku sounds weird without dubbed. So
Well,
that
I don't know about that, but I do also watch it dubbed.
so that is my opinion on the matter. Like to me, they are putting a lot of money in every industry but the gaming industry, and they put a lot of money in the gaming industry. But it's just like the stuff that you see Microsoft doing, spending $1 billion here, spending $7 billion here, like you see that with Sony to a smaller degree, but it's not ever in the gaming industry. Like it's like they feel they buy a studio when it meets like this crazy criteria. We got to work with them for 10 decades. You know, they got to make 20 games for us. Like, but it's just like to me, I do feel like Sony is getting to the point where they feel very comfortable in the gaming industry, and they don't feel
Why
like they
wouldn't
have
they?
to spend that money to compete in the gaming industry.
But why wouldn't they feel that comfortable? Everything they do, their fans are they defend them like left and right. Like they can't do no wrong. So what does that tell Sony? And let's be clear, there's Xbox guys that do that on the Xbox side. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying by and large, if they're looking if they're looking at the media landscape and the social conversation, they're not doing anything wrong. That's it. So why wouldn't they be cocky? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
and to me, I get that in 100%, but it's just like I don't see the disconnect when it comes to stuff like that because I feel like you should be able to critically run your company without listening to these fanboys. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like,
But they're looking at the numbers too.
but I get that,
The
but
media, the numbers, and the fans all tell them that. But that always happens until it isn't. You know what I'm saying? And Xbox was like that, you know, right after the 360 generation, right? Like I'm not saying that that's going to happen to Sony. I'm just saying it is very difficult to change. Like you have to go to your shareholders and say everything we're doing right now is working. It's bringing you more money than it ever brought you. So now let's change that, right? Sony only changed for the PS4 because they lost money on the PS3,
I agree with
right?
you. Microsoft's only doing the stuff because they lost money on the Xbox One.
Absolutely, right? So, and that's the thing with these companies. It's very hard if you have a winning formula to stop it. They're going to, you know, ride this thing till the wheels fall off, and then when they can't anymore, then they'll be forced to change. And we've seen it with Microsoft, we've seen it with Sony, we've seen it with Nintendo. That's just how this works. Now, it could be right because I look at Jim Ryan like a Tim Cook at Apple, right? He's a money man, right? And Tim Cook is making Apple more money than Steve Jobs ever did, but he's still kind of riding on the successes of his predecessor, I think anyway.
Do you feel like there's ever going to be a time? I'm talking to you, Joe. Do you feel like Sony will ever like kind of put this type of money? Because to my knowledge, Insomniac was a very cheap buy for them. It was like a couple hundred mil, and Housemark was probably even cheaper than that. So like,
It was around the same actually, in the same
Yeah,
ballpark, a
but
little under
I
300.
if you account for inflation and just the fact that a lot of studios are overvalued right now because it's sort of this buying season, it's this buyer's market. Even if they paid the same, I feel like it works out to a lot less in today's money. Because like you can look at the share price and what Sony had in the bank back then versus what they have now, and I think in what 2018 money, I think that would have been a lot different than today's money. And that's my opinion, though.
so how do you feel about all this, Joe? Like, is that something that you agree with that scenario?
Yeah, I kind of do. It's interesting. What was the? I'm sorry. What was the full con context of the question, though. I
Oh, I was
apologize.
just gonna ask you, like, do you
Sorry.
would you
Off track.
prefer them to like kind of dedicate this kind of energy into the gaming market? Because I do feel like Sony invests a lot into the gaming market, but here recently, I feel like they're investing. You know, they bought Funimation for probably under a billion. They bought Crunchyroll for 1.2 billion. Like, I don't I don't see PlayStation making these kind of like acquisitions in the gaming market. Maybe it's because it's already so defined, but it's just like you already own Funimation. That was a big part of that market. So now they own Crunchyroll. So it's like maybe anime right now because they're building their anime portfolio is just more important to them, or maybe it's because the gaming industry they have such a fine heartbeat on that where they know what's going on, they don't have to spend that kind of money. So my question to you is, do you think that they should dedicate some of that type of money into the gaming industry to kind of equal what Microsoft's doing with all the studios they've been buying? Because I've said from the beginning, like, you keep letting Microsoft buy these studios over and over again and you're not trying to match the amount of numbers that you have between them and your competition. Sooner or later, once these studios start coming out with games, you're going to see a huge difference in first party titles coming out of both camps.
Right, and I think more or less they've been wanting to buy certain studios, but other things, stuff like Bethesda, like Sumo Digital to Tencent, and like I want to say I don't know if they were ever close to any of the studios that Embracer's been buying, but there's been a lot. There's been a lot of companies that have just been going around snatching up studios left and right. So I think Sony wants to, but I also feel like they don't want to overspend, like you said. Like whenever it comes to stuff like Crunchyroll or Funimation, there's not like 50 or so different anime streaming apps out there. There's only like a couple, like Funimation and Crunchyroll. So whenever they snatch those up, they're more or less grabbing the important named ones that people recognize. With all the other game studios, I don't really think they really. I feel like they want to, but they're definitely. But I feel like they've gotten comfortable with buying studios at a relatively cheap price, like with Insomniac and Housemark, which Housemark still weirds me out by that purchase because if Returnal only sold 560,000 copies, I gotta figure out what was the budget that they spent for that game and why did they spend the extra money on top of that? Was it just to make sure that Housemark didn't get lost? And at that point, like, what are they gaining?
Well,
Because they seem like they lost some on like Returnal's launch. So I never understood that myself.
I
But
I think when it comes to Returnal, I think it was mainly just keeping it off the market, because Returnal, regardless how it sold, it probably did. The majority of the games what's that term people always use? Pre-generated content. What is that?
uh, procedural,
Procedural generated content. A lot of that game is procedural, so I feel like they did like that game would have a little bit lower of a budget than a lot of other games because like for the most part they built an engine that's doing all the work. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
they didn't have to like go through and focus on anything like. And if you look at the game's great, but it's not right like highly detailed. Did you ever play
yeah,
Everborn?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I played it, got mad at it, and don't want it no more.
Yeah, so I
You
mean,
know?
like nothing about that game. Like the game just does something that's not been done before. So that's what it was really rolling off of. I don't think
Yeah, I
it's
think
di-
there's a reason that wasn't done before, but we can talk about that another time.
yeah. So
like the slander Everborn. I really do.
and so that's just my thing when it comes to the Funimation thing is like, look, like I think the reason that they spent that kind of money in the anime is because of something like they want to get their hands into the anime community. And I saw some people in the chat saying they got a monopoly. I don't think they got a monopoly, but they're coming damn near close. Because
Yeah, they are.
because
I
Netflix
think
is.
they have a monopoly in exporting anime to the US, but they don't have a monopoly on the anime itself. Like they don't own Amniplex, right? They don't own the guys who are making these things and shipping them other places. This is just the content delivery piece of it. But I
And
don't think
what's
they're
kind of weird is like, does Crunchyroll own any anime?
Well,
I don't think they do. Maybe a small
I
few.
I know that they've wanted to make like in-house, like first-party kind of anime stuff. Like there was a lot of different shows they were trying to get off the ground, but I have yet to see any of those get made. And one of the things that kind of came to mind whenever I saw that purchase go through is like, okay, that's cool, but are we at least going to see the shows that they've at least showed off? Because I would have to go back and
Oh,
see what they were
oh
making.
God, they
Yeah.
own Netflix.
Oh, what?
Oh shit! Oh well, there you go. well, well, there you go.
Look, like, to me, it's kind of weird. I didn't know they own them. So, like, to me, owns major publishing outside of Funimation. I think I don't see a lot of people correcting us when it comes to, like, they own original stuff. They have originals like God of High School. Never heard of it. And I'm not saying that means anything. I'm a casual anime watcher. But, like, to me, what the hell was $1.2 billion worth?
To own that market.
That
I
feels like to
on
me.
that one.
It feels like to me they overpaid to make sure that the deal was done.
And at the same time, we could also look at Tencent buying Sumo and saying, "Yeah, I don't think Sumo is worth 1.3
They
billion."
overpaid to make sure the deal was done.
Yeah, EA just bought Playdemic, who makes like mobile games from WB Games for what was
like
it,
$1 billion,
1.4 or something like that. Or
So to me, you mean to tell me that Sony don't like overpaying for studios, but they'll pay $1.2 billion for Crunchyroll? Like, it's just like, man,
it's weird. Yeah.
Where is that energy, man? If you would have spent a fraction of that money, you could have bought a couple studios. Be really good.
No, but to be fair, Sony is also another huge arm is Sony Pictures, right? Like, so they are in that business. So that part of the business makes sense. It's not like the PlayStation division acquired what do you call it? So
well,
I go ahead.
Well, I was talking about mainly about the distribution of the funds, like, because at the end of the day, it's all going through Sony. It's just different branches of their company. But, like, to me, it feels like Sony's like, look, you guys are fine. We're going to give you the money to sustain all your studios, to continue your marketing. But it just feels like you don't need no extra money. But we're going to buy Crunchyroll over here for $1.2 billion, which, to me, I just don't understand the cost of that. That's like up there with a Minecraft purchase. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, it's just like they overpaid for that. But when you constantly seeing them losing bidding wars, buying studios. You know what I'm saying, Everborn?
I mean, I get it, but
So they'll overpay for Crunchyroll, but when it came to outbidding Tencent for all those studios, that they're like, oh, that's as high as we're going. We're done. Like,
yeah, but see, those other studios don't guarantee them. I think what Crunchyroll, Funimation, distribution monopoly guarantees them, and this. Listen, they have now this. Sony doesn't have a streaming service outside of Funimation, right? So now they have these two streaming services, which I'm hoping they merge. I think they will, and that is, I think this is like the Sony Pictures side of things, saying now we have our own streaming service, and it's very
but they already had
targeted.
their own streaming service. It was called Funimation.
Yeah, but now who was their biggest competitor, right? That was the thing. And so now they don't have that hurdle. That competition is out of the way. They own that market. And so when Americans want to think about anime and getting it legally, I have to put the quotation figures up. They got to go to Sony, right? And I think that's worth it. I think that pays for itself inside of a couple of years, maybe less.
Look, I've seen people roll with that. They're doing it to fight piracy. I don't believe that one.
That's the dumbest thing I've
heard.
Piracy
finds a way.
It doesn't matter what they do. People are still going to pirate.
Piracy is like dinosaurs in Jurassic Park.
That's my only point. I see people in the chat saying, Attic, your take is wrong. Look, all I'm saying is they already had a huge pulse on the anime industry. They had Funimation. If they apparently are Aplex. Like that is literally a huge portion of the anime industry. The only thing they didn't really own to like a huge above is Crunchyroll and Netflix. So they already have this huge pie, just like they do on PlayStation. But they double dip on the anime industry, but they don't really double dip on and I get it. I could be completely overthinking this, and I probably am. But to me, it's like you're willing to overspend for something like Crunchyroll when you already own Funimation, when you could have spent a fraction of that money making Funimation better, but instead of doing that, they buy its competition because they don't want to compete in that realm. So that's what I'm saying. I feel
Wait, what'd
like
you say? They don't want to compete in that realm?
it doesn't feel like to me. Like
No, well, so
instead of
I
investing that money into Funimation and making it better, making the video play better, making the app better, making the UI more user friendly, they just, you know what? Let's just buy Crunchyroll. Who is the
Well,
only person?
Right. They don't want to
how's the
compete.
UI on Crunchyroll? Because I only have Funimation.
I don't know, man. I've
All
never
right, so
been.
maybe they wanted their UI. You don't know, but okay. Here is I'm gonna push back on you a little bit at it. I think we just saw them buy Housemark, and we saw them buy King's favorite studio ever that he never heard of before this, Nixus, right? And I think that they are going to be buying more studios, and I think everyone's buying studios. Why? I said this on Brap Show. I said this on Boom Show. Right now, money is cheap. There are fear of inflations. There is Democrat leaders in office right now, and usually that means corporate tax rates will go up. Maybe they won't. Maybe it doesn't mean that this time. We'll see. But the point is, they have a lot of money in the bank. We 44 billion as of their last earnings call, and or maybe it's 50 now. I don't know. But the point is, that money is just sitting there, and if they can make more money through an acquisition, they will, right? Then it will just be sitting there earning interest. And again, fears of inflation, also elevated stock price of everything. The market is super overinflated in terms of valuation. So spend the money now before you get taxed on it later, or before it's worthless after inflation, or before your stock price goes down. Everyone is going to buy more things. This is just the latest thing. So in the last 2 months, they've bought 2 studios and a monopoly on the anime industry, and I think they will buy more studios. It just depends on what's available. And I think you're going to see the same thing from Microsoft. So don't count them out yet. I think they're still investing in the gaming industry.
Well, I didn't say they weren't. I'm saying like in the matter of a couple years, they've bought 2 giant glamblets such as Funimation and Crunchyroll. Let me get this $10 super chat from Godzilla. I'm pretty sure that's how you want me to pronounce that. Hashtag free MVC2. I'm pretty sure that's Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So I'm gonna make sure that's part of it. At this rate, I hope original anime IP holders will just make their own streaming service, like Kudaru. I definitely butchered that. With their manga cutting the middleman. Look, it's not cheap to make streaming services to that degree. Like, unless it's like the anime IP holders owned a lot to actually bring value to that streaming service, it's probably always going to make more sense for them to sell, their service, to sell their anime on another service and collect money from it.
Let me add another thing. I brought up Amniplex because they make a lot of your favorite animes. I mean, everyone's favorite animes, right? But I can tell you just from producing some animes for Everborn that the cost of that is about $4,000 a minute, and that is like the sufferer's price. That's not the big, Dragon Ball or My Hero Academia price. That's not
I
the
think they
Vinland
said
Saga price.
the last season of Attack on Titan was like $100,000 a minute or something like that.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I'm saying, right? Like
Jeez.
the animation you saw for the Everborn Kickstarter, that is a rate at $4,000 a minute. So it is not cheap. So manga holders oftentimes go and pitch their stories to, or not they, I'm sure they don't do it directly, but somebody does it. Agents do this. They pitch it to these anime production houses, and they, green light whether they want to adapt it or not. So it's if you have the money to, okay, you created your comic or your manga, and then you somehow have the money to produce your own anime without having to go to Sony, which is Amniplex, then more power to you. Maybe then you can afford your own streaming app, but it's not easy.
All right, so we got another $10 super chat from Godzilla. Another thing, not a fan of this, is because Funimation has a bit of a history editing original scripts at times. An example was Exviligilit. I butchered that. Evangelion 3.0. And Kari wasn't a fan, so they oversaw the transition themselves. So he's pretty much saying that Funimation edited other people's animes. I'm wondering if he knew about that, if that company knew that they were doing that, because they said it wasn't a fan of it. So I wonder if like they gave them the ultimatum that, yo, we doing this, we don't give a shit what you have to say. Like,
but also don't forget Funimation with that Dragon Ball Super shit. Don't shoot. He's black. He's not black.
Wow. All right, so
my friend sent me that clip, and it reminds me of Ghost Stories, the English dub. It's so amazing.
So people want it. They want us to talk about Gamescom. We'll talk about it now. Calm down, Chad. So Everborn, I'm going to go to you first. Questions I want to ask you is, one, what do you expect at Gamescom in terms of this stream? Because they are having a live stream. It's interesting they brought up Bethesda in particularly into this, so that's kind of interesting. So my question is, do you think there's going to be like any real big relevant Bethesda announcements? And three, do you think we should be hyped for this event?
No, and no. I think we are going to get dates, and that's the biggest thing. And if we get at Gamescom, just aside from Bethesda for a second, if we get a date on the Gunk, if we get a date on Crossfire X and things like that,
think they give us a date on Halo?
I think that might be where we see it at.
Yeah, that's a good.
Like
that's
the end
a good
of the
thought.
stream, they end the stream with maybe a new campaign trailer, and it ends with the release.
Do we have is there a date on Call of Duty yet, or is that even coming out this?
I don't think it's been revealed yet.
I think they're waiting for that. Honestly, I think that's the one they're waiting on for the right date to put it out. So honestly, like they said, there's not going to be any new game announcements, right? Aaron Day went on Game Pass Greenberg said that. So, just expect to see more of what you already know about. And I'm excited for those games, but that's kind of where my hype level stops, just getting more info on what we already know, which is, can I get a date on Crossfire X? Can I get gameplay on the Gunk? Is Scorn still coming out? What about Bright Memory Infinite? Like, those are the things that I want to see. And maybe we can see Exomecha. I'm a little excited for that. But I don't expect to see anything new, because they literally said they're not, unless that was a ruse, but I don't think so. So I'm not like hella excited. But I'll tell you what, when is the next Sony event?
I don't know.
Okay.
So
yeah, you know what? I'm not even gonna do it. Go ahead.
So Joe, same questions, man. Same questions, Joe.
I mean, everyone kind of took all my picks from what I think we're going to be seeing there. Stuff like Scorn, Bright Memory Infinite, the Gunk, Halo's release date. Because we actually do have to think about, let's see, the date of the event will be the 24th. That's one day before Psychonauts. So I can't imagine that'll be in the event at all, because it's coming out literally the next day will be really the point. But I don't know. It just feels like I really do just want to see Halo's release date, because I kind of don't think we're going to see Call of Duty this year because of everything going on in Activision. So, yeah, that's kind of all I got there.
So I do have a question for the chat and both of you fine gentlemen. Do we see any Halo campaign at Gamescom?
I think if we do see a release date, it's going to be. I don't think they would just drop a release date. That wouldn't work out too well. Like I think that they would need something to like really establish that. So I think the perfect way of doing that is to like show a to show like a update for like the campaign, like an updated campaign trailer, like nothing like even like real big, just a small little maybe 1 to 2 minute teaser trailer of the campaign, like a new campaign trailer, and then that's where they drop at the end of it. That's where they drop the this is when this is coming out. But what do you think, Joe?
Oh, I mean, what I'd like to see is just literally what you said about the campaign would basically be kind of the worst case scenario. The best case scenario would be like redoing like that entire slice of the campaign they showed in 2020, but doing it all with how the game looks now, where it's going to be at launch. The way it's not, the way they don't have to always point towards that gameplay that they showed last year because people are still going to just pause whenever Craig's on the screen. So, eh,
Yeah, I think that we're going to see some good stuff. I just at the end of the day, I hope that you know I hope that they just show us something. Like I think for the most part, what I would expect coming from this event is I think that they're not going to show update like new games, but they might show you know see the next season of Grounded, or maybe show some teaser stuff from maybe like maybe Sea of Thieves won't be there because they just did one, but I don't know. Maybe there's like a new thing coming out in like a month and a half to two that they show something for Sea of Thieves. Like, I think that for the most part, like they, I think they might do some Game Pass announcements throughout this. Maybe nothing big, but just enough to like show you when certain things are coming to certain platforms. But as far as that, like I don't really expect much out of this. The biggest question I want is, are they gonna have an XO? That's the biggest question I want to know. Because I don't feel like up until now they haven't really had the kind of content that they need to be able to do something like an XO. But now I feel like they should be able to do an XO. Like, and to be honest with you, when they did the XO the year before that Gamescom XO, I don't know if it was Gamescom XO, but I was like, why didn't remember they held on to Hellblade for the video game awards. So like part of me feels like maybe that's their new thing. Maybe they want to start showing more stuff at the video game awards. And I have been told that they are going to be at the video game awards in some form or fashion. Well, what do you feel about that, Everborn? Do you think that maybe they're holding on to a lot of information just for the video game awards?
Uh, I don't think it would be a lot of information. I think it would be like a big reveal. So like one thing, right? So there's a lot of other games that we kind of haven't seen yet. So I think it'll be something like that, right? Because we don't know what In Exile is working on, right? Do we know? So this is what I'm saying. They still have a lot of unannounced games, but I don't think it's going to be like 3 or 4 big game announcements or a studio acquisition or something like that. And speaking of studio acquisitions, I don't think we get any from Microsoft until at the earliest next year.
I agree. I think for the
Uh,
most part they're done with announcing studio acquisitions. I do think that they have bought some studios, but I don't think that they're at the beginning of those conversations. Nothing even really remotely legally has been done. So I
yeah,
don't
that's what I
think
mean.
that
Like,
they're ready.
but I don't know that they would have closed any deals, right? Because I think if they do, they have to notify. Just because like they have to notify their shareholders because there's some like regulations around publicly traded companies, but maybe it's only if both of them are publicly traded. So if it's not a publicly traded company that they bought, maybe they don't have to notify everybody right away. I'll tell you what I don't like. This is small rant. I apologize. Uh, Xbox, right? They have said many times that their end goal is not console sales, right?
Mm-hmm.
What their metric of success is It's monthly active users and Game Pass. And we got none of those numbers in their latest shareholder call, right? And you can't have it both ways. Like you can't say that console sales don't matter. That's not the metric for your success. What the metric is Game Pass and monthly active users, and then you still don't give those numbers, right? Like that to me, I think is something that needs to stop. And I say that as somebody who owns my fair share of Microsoft stock. So I don't like that, and I think more people should take them to task on that.
Well, at least you actually own Microsoft stock. Everybody else is talking about numbers and not owning any stock.
Oh no, I got in at 86. You can look at the share price now.
It's just, I always felt like the numbers thing. Like I've never really cared about the numbers thing. Just like I've never cared about the power thing. You know, I've always been one of the kind of person like, dude, I remember I used to enjoy Happy Wars. I don't know if you guys remember that game, but
I played that on the 360. It was nice.
That so much. So like, and I was playing that on the Xbox One at the beginning of the generation. So it's just like, I got no business talking about anything about graphics when I probably put more time into Happy Wars than some of you have played games this year. Like,
did you ever play Happy Dungeons?
Yeah, I played Happy Dungeons too. Not as much. I didn't really like that one too much, but like Happy Wars, man. I used to play that day after day for 5-6 hours at a time, like all the time, every day. I enjoyed that game. I remember having like all of the the skins and stuff for it, man. I played all the little side activities where you would have to kill like giant things at the end. It was a fun time, man, and I kind of miss those times. I miss Microsoft investing into those type of games and making sure those games are good. But we'll have to see exactly what happens. But one thing that I really want at Gamescom is just like, look, man, just give me that Halo Infinite release date. We need to know it. It's damn near in the middle of August, man.
But do you need to see any more from the campaign? Or are you just good?
At this point, the campaign's a bonus.
Really?
Yeah, because part of me don't expect to see it.
Jesus.
But I'm just like, I want to see it, but part of me's like, I love the core. I love the campaigns to Halo. I even liked Halo 5. I just felt like they could have executed it way better. But I felt
honestly,
like the concept to Halo 5 was good. It's just how they executed it was bad.
I think even the execution was there. I think the problem is they didn't follow up. I think if you had a Halo 6 or some kind of offshoot Halo in like 2016, 2017, because it kind of ended on a weird cliffhanger. And if they had followed up with it, it would have been in everybody's consciousness, and they could have tied up the loose ends narratively that they left, in my opinion anyway.
I know why they did what they did with the marketing. They was trying to completely throw you away from Cortana going crazy. But it's just like, come on, man. Like, that was crazy. Like, I remember getting so hyped at the end of that campaign where Cortana is looking for I can't remember what ship it was. It was one of the ships. Infinity. Yeah. Cortana was looking for Infinity. And then you just see them talking, and then you hear Cortana talking over the intercom. She's like, I found you. And then she just teleports a Guardian out of nowhere. They hyperspace, and she literally shuts down all of the electricity on Earth. Like, I'm like, if that story would have continued and they would have done it right, it would have been lit. Like, Cortana is off the rails, but now it just feels like it feels like they've backpedaled. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I wanted to fight Cortana, and because
let me paint a picture for you. I think if they did what you said, right, that's what comes out 2015 with just focusing on Master Chief, right, with the new engine, all of those things, Master Chief versus Cortana, and then no mention of Locke, and then you give Locke his own ODST or Reach style game. Maybe even make a game out of that Nightfall movie they made, right? And then that could have came out in 2016, 2017. And then 2019, you could put them against each other. But I think I think just introducing that new character Locke and putting him
It
up
was
against Chief, who everybody grew up with, it wasn't smart.
it was
Nobody liked him.
what should have happened is the TV show should have came out, and like it did. First off, I guess it didn't do well because we never got any kind of remote sequel to that. Then after that, there should have been a lock game before 5.
Yeah.
And then they built up into that because what it should have done is when you played as Locke, you should have been okay with it. But the fact is, they didn't build up that anticipation to even play as Locke. They just completely threw in that where it's like you see Locke popping in, I'm looking for the Spartan. Like if anything, you should have been Master Chief running from Locke. And then, but people would have. I can understand people having issues with Master Chief running from anyone. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like Locke. I'm pretty sure he is a Mach 5, isn't he? What do they call those?
He was Spartan 2, I think.
No, Chief is a Spartan 2. Locke,
Yeah,
I'm
but,
pretty sure is a Spartan 5.
Spartan 4, I think.
He might be a 4 or 5.
Yeah.
One of those two.
I think it was Spartan 4.
So it's just like,
because he was introduced in, I think, Spartan Ops of Halo 4, I believe. And yet, actually, don't even make a spin-off game for Halo 5. You could have just done Halo 5 Spartan Ops and continued that story throughout like they did on Halo 4. I don't know why they didn't do that. It's so weird. They had Spartan Ops for Halo 4, but didn't do anything similar for Halo 5. It's stupid to me.
I just felt like I've always felt like 343 has been one of those companies where they make the game the community wants and not the game they want. And I think it's always blown up in their face. I think you see Halo 4, Halo 5, completely different game. Halo 5 to Halo Infinite, completely different game. And I feel like they do too much stuff off camera. They try to do what Destiny does, but not as well as Destiny. It's like, look, like at least, people wouldn't even know the Didact didn't even die in Halo 5. He fell on that planet and lived. And then in a book, they kill him. Like, people wouldn't have even known that. And I think that's the issue. The people that played Halo 5 didn't even know Halo 4, didn't even know the Didact died in Halo 4. Like, that's crazy. And to me, there shouldn't be scenarios like that. And I hope that they've changed it. I don't know. We're not going to get too much into that. But, I definitely understand. Look, Addict Show's been a little left, right, center here today. A lot of stuff's been going on. Definitely want to thank Joe and Everborn Saga for coming on. Hopefully, the industry will pick up in the next couple weeks. And there'll be like a lot of... We had a decent amount to talk about today. But it wasn't like juicy topics to talk about. But, hopefully with some of these AAA products, some of these AAA games will come out, some of these good indies will come out. Next week we'll be able to talk about Hades because that will be out. I think that comes out tomorrow, actually.
Yeah, next week is 12 minutes.
12 minutes. Yeah. So, part of the issue what's going on right now is there's just not a lot to talk about, man. Like last week on IOP, because for those of you that don't know, every lord comes in with their own topic on Iron Lord's podcast, and they're like, Addict, what are you talking about? I was like, I don't know. Like, there ain't nothing to talk about. And 9 times out of 10, when it's really weak on the news, there's always games to fall back on. We could talk about Hellblade. We could talk about new games coming out. We could talk about new games coming to Game Pass. Like, well, I mean, that's kind of news, but like, you get what I'm saying? Like, at least new AAA's coming out, but there's never a scenario where we know what's going on. But this time, especially last week, there's nothing to talk about. There's no games coming out. There's nothing whatsoever to talk about. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, it kind of picks up. But Joe, where can people find you, man? What do you got going on? My voice is already going out, man. My voice is going out.
Well, first I want to say thank you for having me on, even if I was kind of pestering you a little bit. And
No,
Everborn,
fine,
it was great being on the show with you. Big fan of the books, by the way. And I'm on Twitter at Joseph_FGamer, and I'm just writing for wordsofgaming.net. So that's all I got going on.
That's what's up. Everborn, what is going on?
What's
What is that
happening?
that
What's
juicy
happening?
more content you got going on, man?
Everbornsaga.com. That's where you can get all your hands on all of the Everborn books. We got Ariel's Adventure that's just dropped. We got the Ultimate Edition of Prince of Arcadia that has chapters 1 and 2 in that hardcover. And we got chapter 3 and chapter 4 is actually going to drop later this month. So be on the lookout for that. And because I got my branding in order, you can find me at Everborn Saga everywhere. Check out the YouTube channel where we do the show every Thursday at 8 on the Reel, where we talk about TV and movies. And King usually comes to join us whenever there's a movie that he wants to talk about. And then on Saturday on Keasante's channel, we do the Gaming Circle podcast where we try to have some highbrow tech talk along with some slander for whatever's going on in the video game industry. And of course, Everborn on Twitter, Xbox, PlayStation, TikTok, you name it, Instagram, all that. Everborn Saga everywhere. Check it out.
Definitely go check out both of these people. I definitely co-sign both of them. We'll be back next week. Iron Lords podcast is every Sunday. I think Cog would kill me if I tell. We are having an industry guest on this week. I can't say who because Cog would kill me if I told you guys. Let me make sure it's this week. Yes, August the 15th. It does look like the 12th of September is when we go to the 11 a.m. time frame. So I'm going to be hateful every day until we go back. But I definitely appreciate everyone coming through. This is Game Me